The battle for Gettysburg was considered the turning point of the Civil War. General Lee's defeat by the Union forces forced him and his troops to retreat, and they had a rather difficult time recovering. I've had the pleasure to learn and study this battle several times due to my grandpa living in Gettysburg. However, even though I am well educated on this subject, my excitement and enthusiasm would match all yours when learning a new fact about the battle or actually visiting a battlefield. One of the more significant battles at Gettysburg is Pickett's Charge. If the South had successfully accomplished Pickett's Charge, the battle for Gettysburg results would have been different. Now, this may not interest any of you because these were not the circumstances. However, if you really study what would have occurred, it may after all. The Union Army would have been very hurt, the road to Washington would have been paved, and the Civil War ends with the Confederates winning. If Pickett's Charge would have worked, the Union Army may have been beaten. This would have been a huge tragedy for the Union as well as the United States. For this idea to successfully occur, the South would have had to have quite a supply of cannonballs for the artillery to lay on the Union forces to keep their heads down while the South charged. The Union line was shaped like a fishhook. All Pickett had to do was break through the center. However, the Confederate supply train was too far away to keep this barrage up, and Pickett knew this. Now, a little bit of history about Pickett. Before he actually became a general in the Civil War, he was an actor, so he didn't have a chance to perform on stage. So he saw this charge as a way to get famous and get attention on himself. Also, Stuart ran into trouble overcoming General Custer's forces. If this happened, the Confederate cavalry could have overrun the line while Pickett's men were moving forward, and this could have taken all the pressure off of the charging Confederates. If these two factors had occurred successfully, the charge would have worked. The Confederates would have taken over Gettysburg completely. With the Union being defeated at Gettysburg, there was not much, if at all, of the Union left to stop Lee on his way to Washington, D.C. If this would have happened and Lee was able to get supplies for his troops, such as food, ammunition, and reinforcements, they may have taken the capital. If they could have done that, the war would have been over sooner, and ultimately, the South would have been victorious. Lee had a letter of surrender prepared to give to the Union Army the last day of Gettysburg. The question is, would the war have ended in Gettysburg? Would a surrender at this point by General Meade of the Union forces occur if Pickett was successful in his charge? If the South was successful in Gettysburg, in my opinion, they would more than likely would have won the war and became the Confederate States. I hope you all have learned a little bit more about the Civil War and Pickett's Charge and the significance of Gettysburg for the Civil War. We covered how if Pickett's Charge would have been successful, the Confederates would have won Gettysburg, the road to D.C. would have been paved, and the South ultimately would have won the Civil War. General Lee's defeat was the turning point of the Civil War and the momentum the North needed to finish the war.